Hi, and welcome to my violin tutorial. We will start with an introduction of the violin as an instrument. Now, as you see, the violin is a pretty small instrument, but don't be deceived. It's one of the most powerful and elegant instrument and one of the best hearing instrument that is, if you've ever gone to an orchestra, you would know how beautiful the violin sounds. It's high pitched and the tone is immaculate. Now the violin was first used in the 16th century in Italy, and most of the classical composers have composed most of the music for the violin. The violin is at that time it was very orchestral. It was being used by orchestras, but today it's versatile. It's being used by in most genres of music, whether it's classical music, pop music, Indian, Chinese, in any kind of music. It's the most versatile instrument and the most dynamic instrument ever conceived. You would probably hear this very often that the violin is a very difficult instrument to learn. Well, yes, it is a very difficult instrument to learn because of certain factors. The most important are number one, it's the intonation. Now, what I mean by intonation is if I play a note. Now, my fingers on this note, if I shift my finger slightly above, I get a different tone. Not only that, even if I change the angle of my finger, if I just change the angle and I get a different tone. So the intonation here is very important, unlike the guitar where you have frets, and whether if you're in the same fret, you have the same sound. Whether your finger goes up or down, it's the same. But unlike the violin the fingerboard is very small, and it all depends on how you use your fingers. If you shift your fingers a little high, then you get a different tone. That's the intonation. Then the violin is a very dynamic instrument. When I say dynamic, in the sense you can, it's, the violin is closest to the human voice. You can go loud, you can go soft, you can do what you want with the violin in terms of music. Like if I play, I can go soft. I I can just go soft, I can go loud, I can use it very dynamically. And the third feature of the violin is it's the articulation. Now, what I mean by articulation is I can play the violin, in different ways. Whether it's I play it in a staccato way, then I can play. Then I can play. So that's the articulation. You can articulate very well when it comes to the violin, unlike any other instrument. That's why the violin is supposed to be the most difficult instrument to play. It's because of the technique that is required to give you that kind of articulation, intonation. So it all depends on the time and the efforts that you put into learning the technique of violin. So I have a lot of people coming up to me and asking me when is it the best time to learn the violin. Well, children are very quick learners as compared to adults, whether it's the violin or any other instrument. they learn pretty fast. I would think the best time to introduce the violin to a child is at the age of 7 or 8. That's when the maturity level is, fully developed. Of course, I've seen a lot of children who learn it at a younger age, even 5 or 6 years. But I would think that it's the age of 7, 8 is more likely, because that the violin is a very disciplined instrument, and we need that kind of attention and discipline to to sustain that interest. So I think at the age of 7 or 8 is the best time for a child to be introduced to this instrument.